Well, growing up was great because we had fuck all, right? And the first job I had, I used to work, where Accident Insurance is in town, Wolf Town Street. That was a mattress factory. And it was O'Dea's mattresses. And when I started there, I had a princely sum of £2 2 and 4. And with a fiver, you could go dancing. You could go out on a fiver, But the pound was better than the euro. There was more in the pound, But East Wall now was, my family now originated. Smith and Pearson's, the steel manufacturers were over. You come down in East Wall, Ossie Road. When you come over the railway bridge up there, there was cottages, and they were known as Cody's cottages. And her ma and dad were born there. And then when there was in 1950 something, there was floods come down and destroyed the whole place. So these houses that you're sitting in now, East Wall, Alfie Bourne was the Lord Mayor. And the houses were built by the corporation for the people that were getting fucking, rained out of it and floods and all that, And the bridge fell down. The railway bridge coming out of Connolly Station over the river, that fell down. The floods were so bad. And then what happened then was, growing up was great because there's a great bit of crack. And in the morning, every child was fucked out of the house. No child was allowed. Everybody was thrown out of the house. Get out. No matter if you were playing or what you were doing. There was no kids. In them days, no one was allowed to listen. If you were in the house and all my ma's friends came in, they were yakking and yakking. The kids were fucked out of the house. They weren't allowed, that was just the way they done it. And if you were told to do something, you done it. None of this shite, I'm not going out and all this crap. You just went out. But, and then when I left the job in O'Davis Mattresses, O'Keefe's, there used to be timber yards down there on East Road. Johnny Cunning's Hill, the hill there. There was McNaughton's, O'Keefe's, and all the timber yards. I saved me time down there. So when I saved me time down there, the job was closing down, and my ma used to work on the Irish Rail. Where the Carpent Centre is? Yeah. That was North Wall Midland Irish Rail. The down the point, where Oak Tree is now, that used to be Northern Rail. North Wall Midland was where the Carpent Centre, and North Wall Point was where the other railway was. And one railway done Northern Ireland, and the other was done the Galway and Sligo and all over the place. So I worked there. I worked on the railway for 32 years. And they got rid of the freight about 10 years. They privatised the freight end of it. So we got an offer we couldn't refuse. Goodbye, gone. Anyway, but it was a great place it was great crack, and the youth club, the youth club around there was open. And we were sort of, when it opened for us, we were all given a hand, But I knew most of the lads in it. But Maureen, Maureen, the TD, she was in charge of it. And all the lads used to give a dig out and all, So a bit of crack now.
What was it, we hear a lot about some of the games, when you were kicked out of the house?
Oh, you made your own games, yeah. You done, beds, this fucking, a triangular thing. And you hopscotched and you had a bicycle tire. And not a bicycle tire, a hoop, like a ring. And you got a stick and off you went. And you had skates, the skates that you put on you. Not the skates now you have now with the boots on them. You had the skates and you put them on you, and you used to fly down the Johnny Cunning's Hill. We fly down there on skates on your feet. Then you'd make a box car. You make two wheels on the back, and what would you call it? What they call them? like a ball bearing wheel on the front, and you could go down two ways. You could put your foot on it and steer it, or else you could put your hands on it and steer it. Where the problem was, if you hit that with your head, you'd be bleeding dead. Because the bus used to come down, and the bus used to come down and be flying down the vat. Obviously, you had to get out of the way at whatever time, But a bit of crack there was, But and then there was we used to do a lot of cycling around, and the youth club is organised a day out or here, there, and everywhere. But it was so simple, like you'd go for a train journey down to Wexford, or a train journey to Belfast, or the furthest you got, they had these educational tours, in the colleges and the schools, and you'd be going here to do this, or going here to do that. And if you went on the train, it depends on to be someone that has to be full of beans and acting the maggot in the train, a bit of crack,
And we, for some of us who haven't grown up here, there's like a real sense of community here.
Oh, there was, yeah. What happened was, what you could do is, all the doors had keys in them. You could go into anyone's house. If you were passing, if I left my house and I was passing some other house and it was dinner time, you went in and got your bleeding dinner. And then if you went somewhere else, you got your tea. And everything was it wasn't fancy now. It was stew, a coddle. What was it? A stew, coddle. Friday was fish, because they're real religious them days. The church ruled every bleeding thing. So and you had a fast day was a fast day, and the church over there was fucking jammed. But everyone had to go to mass. You see, you couldn't not go to mass. But now you wouldn't see 3 or 4 in it. So and everybody in them days respected authority. If you were a priest, a copper, a lawyer, any of the learned professions that were above reproach, supposed to be above reproach, type of thing. And if you were told to do something, your ma told you to do something. But the good thing about it, there was a line you didn't cross. If you cross the fucking line, you get better. You get battered from here up to the bed. And she, no problem. Your ma, I come down and mill you fucking out of it. Because what's wrong now, I think, there's no line that you don't cross. Would you agree? Yeah. At least you knew what the parameters was. But so I used to come in the house and my ma would say, "Where were you? Where were you? What were you doing and who were you with?" And you had to tell everything. It wasn't a case of because young people think we know fucking nothing. We do. Well, you've been there and done that. And if you have a problem, and the great thing about your ma or your dad them days, if you come in with a problem, you could talk to them. You didn't think you could talk to them, but they were there. They'll always support you if you're, if that happens, then fuck you out the door.
Yeah, because is that not only was your parents always looking out to see if you're up to trouble, but there was everyone else's parents.
Oh yeah. Well, here's what happened. I'll tell you. If I was passing a house and something happened, the grapevine would say Johnny was there, and you come back into your house and your man know you were fucking there, and you got bleeding lashed out of it. You got killed coming in. You were there, and you got bleeding battered, and it wasn't you at all. That was just, everything was corporal punishment, type of thing, But they were as good as gold, they were. And my ma was known as fuck me, right? And I was known as son of fuck me, right? And the reason why that was, she used to mind neighbours' kids, and I know the neighbour was going out, and she'd go up to Paddy's, the butchers, and she'd be saying to Paddy, "How are you keeping?" and all this. And she'd say, "Fuck me, I have to go home," And that was the slagger, "Here's fuck me," and that's whatever. And there was names on different people, And when I go up, here's son of fuck me. A bit of, and you could slag till no one come, till you could slag everything, and there was no malice in it. Type of thing. Where now you have to watch your P's and Q's, you can't do bleeding nothing.
And do you think is there a reason why the place is so special? The place is so close knit and all that.
Oh, it is. Even now, we see, we have some of the old neighbours here. But what's wrong with the influx of immigrants and people? You don't know who's in houses, and they don't. You know the way the paddies at jail and have a crack and all this. The immigrants, some of them don't. They just don't get the crack and the social end of it.
Yeah.
And I was never 20 points in an ambulance. I was never up in the fucking tavern to be all locked and all the whole lot. But you just done your own little thing, like. And then I was in O'Keefe's. I saved me time there. Then me ma used to work on the railway. So when the job closed down, I went down to Irish Rail. And I was down there for 35 years. And it was great learning, because in them days, you know the way you have courses now to do this and that. In them days, you learned on the hoof. If you were learning how to shunt a train or whatever you were doing, they didn't put you on a course for shunting. They handed you the fucking shunting pole. Go with him, and you learned it. It wasn't a case of sitting in the classroom. Now, say you were doing signalman or something, you'd have to be in the classroom, but it's all well, it was all pulling levers, but now it's all pressing buttons. They left the levers in it. They have a small lever on the console, so you just do that with it, But you want to know what you're doing as well, and everything them days was if you wanted something done, it was hello. It wasn't emails and shite, because and I used to work on the trains when they had the single line. I used to work to Galway and Sligo and Athlone, and my job was to make sure the train was safe. We had in the signalling box, when you went up to Clonsilla, you got an Orden bar there with the signalling box, and the Orden bar, you had it with you, and when you had the Orden bar, when you went through the signal went up, so the other train couldn't come. A train couldn't come forward, or a crane couldn't follow you. So what I used to do was get the bar and put it into the next signalling box. And then he put it in a machine that counted the trains. And we done that. We didn't stop the train to put it in. There was a mechanical device on the train. You had the front of it was like that, and the back of it was like that, and you put the bar in the back, and as you went by, you got the other bar, but if you missed it, you had to go back and get it. And when you put the brakes on, the train would be about 1.5 miles out from the fucking station. And you couldn't go back with it. You can't go back with trains. You had to get a wrong way order to go back. There was all paperwork you had to make out, But I enjoyed it now. I mean, we were down in the Midland where the conference centre is now, and in the point, the North Wall Point, they used to load wagons, cement, gargle, coffins, televisions, everything. And they used to, when it was there first, they used to load cattle on the trains. Then they used to weigh them and put them on the train. Yeah. And the first job I got was cleaning out fucking the cattle train, and you had pull-ups on you. And if you fell, you would up to her eyes, and you know what. But the good thing about it was, if you made a mistake, you got balled. You got, And that's what's wrong. What's wrong with it now is, in this new system is, it's all reports. We had reports as well, but people were with authority had a great tolerance for if you made the mistake, well, you made the mistake. But if you're fucking making it 3 times, well, get him away from it. Isn't it? That's the, Well, you have to be, when you're in authority, when you're in a job, you have to be susceptible to if you're instructing someone on something, you have to be firm and friendly. That means you have to be assertive. But if anything goes wrong, you have to be, gauge people. I was doing a lesson when I was teaching something, and someone wasn't listening. So I went down to bleeding bottle them, And when I went down, I knew there was something wrong. And this is, you get this when you're teaching something, whatever you're doing. Your man couldn't read. So I copped it, and when I went down to him, I just had the book, book in my hand, and so that's the answer. I gave him the answer and the QT, but I didn't want the rest of them saying, "No, that's a, and slagging and all that, you know." But and then when it was great because down here was very there were a lot of community, and we used to have the school, the community centre. That was the school. And they used to have variety shows in it, the black and white minstrel show. And they'd all dress up in black, they black and white with polish or whatever it was. And I have a few photographs of if you put them up now, you get a bleeding arrested. It's just a historical end of it, That's but all the people were very, how would you put it, community aware. And if you're stuck for something, if you're stuck for that, and even now, I can go across there, will you give us a bottle of milk or I've no Jack's roll, give us the Jack's roll or whatever it is, type of thing, So that's all you can do, isn't it?
Everyone takes care of everything.
Everyone takes care of everything. Now you had the local, fellas robbing the place and all the flats down, where the where the Cartman Centre, there used to be a flats down there,
Right.
and the name of the name of the crowd used to think anything that wasn't nailed down was the Mackenzie's Raiders. They used to call them the Mackenzie's Raiders. There was a thing on RTE, a cavalry thing. They used to come over the hill with the Indians and all that shit, you see, and they come over the hill anyway. So they christened the lads the Mackenzie's Raiders. But I'll tell you one thing about them: they took anything that wasn't nailed down, but they never banjoed anybody. There was none of this fucking stabbing you and fucking hitting you with this. You just came in and they relieved you of your whatever you wanted, whatever you had,
Yeah. It was like a strong part of who you became.
Well, of who I became was, I was a member of the FCA, the reserve, right? And when I grew up first, I had a stammer, right? And I joined the reserve, right? And the reserve got the stammer out of me. And they gave me leadership qualities that I hadn't got, right? Because if you were a sergeant or whatever you were, you had to do the job. And that's what I'm saying about instructing and gauging people and all that. You can get more out of a person by leading them. I have a great belief, if you're teaching people or you're doing whatever you're doing, if you can't do the job, don't ask someone else to fucking do it. Right? You have to be able to do the job, and you have to be firm and friendly in regards to helping people out, in regards to whatever, whatever system you have. And the reserve, I served 43 years in the reserve. I started in 1965 and 2008 I retired. And it was the best organisation you ever was in, because it gave you the organisational skills to do whatever you're doing, and you took charge of something. Now, when I was in the job and when I was in the reserve, I was a sergeant, but I'd done my job, and if I came out to do something, I was neat and tidy, and I wouldn't, if I went over to a platoon, which is 30 men, and there'd be an officer there and myself, I'd be the chief, and there'd be 6 NCOs and 30 men. Now, if I went around doing the inspection, I wouldn't take shite. And in them days, there was, how would you put it? There was authorised infringements for not being neat and tidy. Just say, do it again and get yourself right and all this, So that's the, and acting like that will give you a grounding in something. And some people are not suited for that situation, because in the present day, it's got so technical that I wouldn't be able to do it now. But it's all laptops and satellites, and when we used to do everything manual. Different things. You'd have different things for different orders for different things.
So talk about when you used to get paid, you go into town to the dances and stuff like that. What was that?
Oh, we used to go into, we used to go in Talbot Street. You know the poker table? Your man, what's his name? Mrs. Brown. The Mrs. Brown, he was a skinner. He was a skinner when he was a skinhead, when he was younger. And the skinners were fucked out of every dance hall and they were running amok. So he opened the dance hall for them in around the Poker Hill there. And there was another, down in Marlborough Street, there was a club called Barton's. And they had a big ball when you go down, right? And there was a stairs, and all the women that come down the stairs, maybe all like this. Who's that? White, black, whatever. But I'm just saying, and there was a bit of crack, but and then we went to the Barton's. Then we went to the Town and Country. The Town and Muck was up. You know the Garden of Remembrance, the town on the side of the Garden of Remembrance. There was the Town and Country. We used to call it the Town and Muck, but there were all fucking muck houses in it, right? And then on the other side, there was another dance hall, and depending, and all the bouncers would be there. And if they didn't like you, just got fucked out of it. They wouldn't let you in, you know. So that's.
I'd say the Dublin scene back then was mad.
Oh yeah, they had who would they got? The crowd, the Elvis Presley type with the grease and the hair, and we had what was it? We tight trousers, and we wrinkle pick our shoes. There were shoes with points on them, great for kicking in the ass, you know. But we had the shoes and that, you know. And then another gang was the skinheads, and what was the other gang? The other gang, the Mods and the Rockers. And they come down and then if that happened, right, there'd be a fucking mill outside the dance hall, be killing one another. Now there was just a big, no knives and shit like they have now, you know. Well, it was great for the crack now.
Which were you? What group were you in?
I was a crew cut.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when I had hair.
Yeah. Just mad. Like we ask everyone this, if you could describe East Wall in one word, what would you give it?
I would, in them days, I would give it a great community rating. But everyone knew what everyone else was fucking doing. You couldn't do anything. Love, life, anything. They were like fucking detectives they were. If you went, as my ma used to say, love is blind, but the neighbours aren't. You're like that. And what I'm saying to you is, but it was all done in a sort of how would you put it, a non-aggressive way. And my mum be saying, your woman there, oh, she's a, and your woman, oh, he's a, like type of thing, But there was no harm in it, like type of thing.
Because everyone knew everyone anyway.
Yeah, everyone knew what you had for your breakfast, and everyone, and everyone, most of the people walked down the port where the docks was, and the great gas thing about it was 8 o'clock, everyone, there was bicycles every fucking where, right? Bicycles going and everywhere, and there was no boards from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, all the bicycles would be back, and 2 o'clock the bicycles got back gone again, and everyone knew if you were mitching from school, say you were hiding down, so someone would see you, and someone said, oh, Mrs. Sound, I saw your son and I saw this or whatever.
I do. Can you remember what was some of the trouble you got in with your parents back in those days?
Back in those days, you'd be, say you come in late, there was a time to coming in, and if you weren't in, you get interrogated. But before you got interrogated, you got the bleeding slaps. Where were you? Boop! And you'd be, the way you'd be out smoking or whatever, you were drinking or whatever. No, I wasn't mad on the drink, but you went through this puberty type show. We all wore moustaches and fucking pipes and fucking, we're trying everything now. But it was all clean fun. There wasn't the drugs now that you have in the place, But as I'm saying to you, the way I looked at it was, there was fellas now who got on in life, and I can't say I didn't get on in life because I made a career in the railway, you know, type of thing. And as I'm saying to you, it paid the bills in the house, you know, like, and I'm a great believer, if you have a steady job and you're getting your few out, well, it's there. But the problem now is they don't want you to have a steady job. They want you to fucking contract and more contracts and contracts. And you can't plan that. Look, you can't plan a thing like that, you know. I remember one time going over to, what was it? Went over to Coles. And I didn't drink, you see. So I went over to Main in the morning and I had vodka reds. Tasted out, you see. So I come back and I went into the house and my man, where were you? Yeah. So I went up to the bedroom and the bedroom went around. The fucking, you know, like all this, you see. But I wanted to try it to see what was it like. But I wasn't never, but if I were to go back, I wouldn't change a lot of it now. Because it was our way of going from puberty to maturity and having relationships and doing this and doing that. And it was just, an awful lot of, how would you put it? In them days, the social scene was driven by the Catholic Church and all the, you know, in the area. There was a thing organised for the youth club and all. And as I said, all the suits were above reproach. You know, like, but the community down here was great. We had parades, you know, like, what was it? The Queen of East Wall, all this, you know, like, and they're still alive actually, you know. It was a bit of crack, you know.
That's mad.
You say?
There's loads of, one thing we see is do you still keep in contact with all the, you know, the friends from growing up?
Oh yeah, well most of them, some of them went to Australia and some, but you'll bump into people. Now you're in town. Last week I bumped into a fella I hadn't seen in 20 years, right? And then I bumped into a fella who was begging on the fucking street. He went to school with me. You know, so I brought him into the CE club and got him a dinner, you know, dinner and stuff and all that. And you never know, you see, what I'm saying to you is, you never know what's on tomorrow. That you could be homeless, you could something happen and all this. And I don't judge people in regards, I don't give them this and that. Yeah, there's always a story about and I was happy enough that we had a stable home environment, and we went out and done what we had to do. But you came home and that time everybody was working. The father was working and your ma was in the house doing whatever she was doing, right? And it a stable environment and everybody was coming home with a few. Now the wages wasn't great, but it was consistent. It wasn't like today, work for fucking nothing and you never be idle, you know? Yeah. And I used to work a 40-hour week in the job, overtime and all that. But when I retired from the job, they put us on a salary. They put us on a 48-hour week, but you had to work Monday to Friday and Wednesday to Sunday. And there was no overtime that time. They got rid of the overtime, you know. But still in all, it was, and the great thing about it was, you could rely on people to do this and that. If I wanted to go into town for an hour, I'd say, well, yeah, keep an eye on it and whatever. Because if you have to do something, you don't really, there's no point taking the day off. It'll only take 10 minutes or 15 minutes to do something, you know. Oh yeah, but my ma would mind the kid on this side. And then next day she'd mind the kid on the other side. And there was some fella got married and she had a baby. Nangles. You know Nangles? Nangles beside me and one of his their sons was in it. And his wife said to me, ma, she says, he won't sleep. I mean, I'll fucking make him sleep. She got him in the buggy out to Dollymount. Got him out of the car. Fucking ran him back to Eastway. He slept for 2 bleeding days. You know, and that's what's, and they'd great parenting skills, and there wasn't all this crap about no telling people what to do, and because your ma, if you had kids, your ma would show your wife or whatever what to do and all this crap, you see. And in them days, there was no, you know, the way you have things now keeping babies warm and all this. I myself, I heard this from a neighbour. When I was born, they had me in a fucking shoebox. A big shoebox with, what do you call it? Cotton wool in it. Beside the bleeding fire. That's how they kept you warm. And it was all, that system. And when we moved, when we moved over to the houses over here, they still had the on the fire. They still had the thing you put the water on.
Oh, yeah.
And you put there was a thing going into the fire and you boiled the water or boiled the kettle and all this. Great bit of crack.
So it's like everyone was kind of raised by everyone here.
Everyone was raised by everybody else. And if a kid walked by and she was hungry for something, come in and we give you this, I give you that. You get a pudding somewhere, you get sweets somewhere, you get, you know, like all that. And it was great in that respect. You know?
Yeah.
But and what's wrong with it now is it's sort of detached, you know, like in regards to parents and kids, and well, it evolves as well, you know.
It's would you change anything about the place?
No, not really, no. Because we have a different outlook than yourselves on it. You know, it's like now you have the government and they're fucking 6-10 weeks scratching themselves. And you have to have someone to do something. But what I'm saying is, in the old system before the computers and crap, you had to get a fella, say Charlie Hart, you know. He got a lot done. And other TDs, just by saying, do that. You know, like Bertie, there was something wrong down here one time. And Bertie came down and everything was fixed. He rang the council and everything just flowed. You know, like, you have to be, and in a job, you have to have someone who's in charge. You no point in being in charge and like this, looking at that and saying, I won't do that. You have to be proactive in doing something. You know, like, there's no point in ringing a place and press this button and press that button. That wasn't in my day. When you rang someone, you said, do this or do that. And there was no offence taken of me saying, you fucked that up or whatever you done. Isn't it?
Yeah.
My name is John Delaney. I'm from East Wall and I'm 67 years young.